Over the weekend in New York City, in Manhattan, according to a viral news report in New York City that did not get a lot of attention but has subsequently been confirmed, a man walking with his girlfriend was set on fire by a migrant. Didn't get a lot of news coverage, did it? The story is now confirmed. It went viral on an account in New York City, and the police subsequently confirmed that, yes, a migrant burned someone else in New York City. This is the price New Yorkers must pay for Democrats with immigration. Immigration itself now not the number one or number two issue in the United States. Why? Because Donald Trump, very effective in dealing with immigration. You know another concern that is starting to fade away from people? Eggs. Egg prices have gone from $6.55 a dozen on January 21st, the day after Trump got inaugurated, to $3.45 now, a 47.3% decrease in price. Donald Trump is fixing problems people care about. And that gets me to the judge's order on immigration. This is a difficult thing for the Democrats, and they're hiding behind a federal judge who in Washington, D.C., and by the way, this is one of the former FISA court judges who authorized all the investigations into Trump and the Russians. He's a Democratic-appointed judge who ordered the return of deported gangbangers. And, of course, the Democrats and the ACLU are on the side of this, but notice the pattern here. Here's what happened. Donald Trump secretly signed an order deporting some of these gang members back to Venezuela, except they're going to send them to El Salvador instead. Drop them off in El Salvador. The president, they're happy to round them up and put them in prison in El Salvador. They're criminal gangbangers from Venezuela. So they kept it very quiet within the Trump administration, but as the flights were starting to roll out, some liberal activists who monitors deportation flights saw unscheduled, unannounced deportation flights and rushed to the ACLU, which in turn rushed to federal court and got a Democratic judge to order a return of the flights. Now, here's what we know. The flight was already outside U.S. airspace, was actually above the Yucatan Peninsula, almost to El Salvador, when word came that the judge had ordered a recall of the flight, and the Trump administration just didn't send word for the plane to turn around. They don't want to say they ignored the judge's order, but they ignored the judge's order. Some of them are willing to say within the White House that, yes, they decided to ignore the order. Others are saying, there was confusion. It was already almost El Salvador. It was outside of American airspace. We really couldn't order it to turn around at that point. They want this fight. Here's why they want the fight. Because this is a necessary fight to have. Joe Biden overwhelmed the southern border. Joe Biden turned a blind eye to a flood of illegal immigrants coming into this country, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands at a time. The Trump administration, 8 weeks on the job, has got the border crossings down to 100 to 200 a day, from upwards of 10,000 a day. This is a politically created crisis, and the Democrats are running to Democrat-appointed judges to undermine the president of the United States. Now, to be fair and intellectually honest, when Democrats are in charge, Republicans run to courts controlled by conservatives. When Republicans are in charge, Democrats run to Democrat-appointed district judges. The problem here is this universal idea now among judges that they can issue nationwide injunctions. I have intellectually, honestly, opposed it when conservatives do it. I oppose it when progressives do it. But there is already Supreme Court precedent in this case that once someone has been ordered deported by the United States government, judges can't turn around and undermine the deportation order until that person goes to where they are and they can apply and come back. The judge has overstretched his hand. So Trump wants this fight, and the Democrats are going to give him the fight. Good. The Democrats are going to take Donald Trump to court over this, and Donald Trump is probably going to win in the United States Supreme Court. and probably win on multiple aspects of this. One, Donald Trump is probably going to win in the Supreme Court on the issue of nationwide injunctions. But two, Donald Trump is probably going to win on the deportation fight, too. The White House is denying that it defied the judge's order. They have to deny that they defied the order because it would put them in legal hot water with the U.S. Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the third branch of government, whether you like it or not. The judiciary is, and the branches of government aren't supposed to defy each other. But also, you do have to understand that all three branches of government are required to assess the constitutionality of decisions. And if the President of the United States decides that what the judge has ordered is unconstitutional or overbroad or oversteps his power, the president can choose to take it up to the Supreme Court, which he's going to do. And in the process, what's he doing? They just didn't enforce the judge's order. He didn't defy it. He just chose to slow roll enforcing it. The plane was already out of U.S. airspace. Now, did he actually defy it? Yes. They can't use that word. It would be legal hot water. You got to understand, we're talking nuances here that you must understand. They can't come out from the White House and say, yes, we defied the judge. They can't do that because who hears the appeal? The Supreme Court ultimately gets the appeal, and the Supreme Court's not going to like it if you are bragging about defying a court, because the Supreme Court's going to protect the power of its branch. But also, they defied that court, and good. Listen, the same people who are upset about Donald Trump doing this are the people who are very happy that Joe Biden chose to find ways around the Supreme Court saying you can't forgive student loans. Same principle, different laws, same principle. What's good for the goose, good for the gander. These are the precedents the Democrats set. You Democrats say Donald Trump is writing checks he's not going to be able to cash. He's setting precedents. No. Let's go back. You set the precedent. You set the precedent to ignore the United States Supreme Court, to undermine the credibility of the United States Supreme Court. This is now a partisan, progressive judge appointed by Democrats. The ACLU was able to get this judge to do this, and it's now set up a great legal challenge for Donald Trump. It's also put the Democrats in a very awkward position. Do the Democrats really want to defend the recall of violent gangbangers? Do they really want to do this? Seriously, do the Democrats wish to stand on the side of violent illegal aliens from Venezuela? They can hide behind the federal judge, but at some point they're going to have to say, do they want those people here or there? The polling that has come out now says that immigration is no longer a priority issue for the American public. Immigration, no longer a priority issue for the public.
Let's take a look at this. It is one of the most dangerous, treacherous stretches of landscape to get to this country. The Darien Gap. Many people die along the trail there. There were 408 crossings through there last month. Now, there are ways to go around it, but can you even imagine? If we know that number of how many came through, how many didn't make it? That's a massive drop from August 2023. You ready for this? 82,000. If 408 still sounds like a lot because many of them are children who are being carried, we know that from the reporting that's gone on. 82,000? How many people died trying to get here? I mean, this is huge evidence.
That's Harris Faulkner on Fox News. So 82,000 in February of 2023. Last year it was 37,000, February 2024. For February 2025, 408. 408. Probably a little higher. Those are the ones we know about. But 408 known. From 82,000, the precise number, 81,946. It's August of 2023, down to 37,166, February 2024, to now 408. Immigration has fallen to the fourth most important issue for voters because Donald Trump has solved the problem. He simply solved the problem by being president. As he said at his non-State of the Union address to Congress, that they said you would have to change the law. Actually, all you had to do was change president. Promises made, promises kept by Donald Trump on this issue. And now you've got the Democrats daring to side with illegal alien gangbangers from Venezuela led into this country by Joe Biden. Good. I hope they have the fight. This is going to go to the Supreme Court. Going to go to the Supreme Court. Here's the statement from Carolyn Leavitt, the White House press secretary. The administration did not refuse to comply with the court order. The order, which had no lawful basis, was issued after terrorist TDA aliens had already been removed from U.S. territory. The written order and the administration's actions do not conflict. Moreover, as the Supreme Court has repeatedly made clear, federal courts generally have no jurisdiction over the president's conduct of foreign affairs, his authorities under the Alien Enemies Act, and his core Article II powers to remove foreign alien terrorists from U.S. soil and repel a declared invasion. It is a declared invasion. The president declared the invasion. Congress might not have declared war, but the president said it was an invasion. Side note, this is why Congress should clean up the law. If the Democrats are horrified that Donald Trump did this and had the power to do this, why don't you start repealing the laws that are on the books instead of screaming about Donald Trump? Do your job. Congress doesn't want to do its job. Democrats want to go on MSNBC and cry about the president. That's all they want to do. Cry about the president. Mean old Donald Trump. Mean old Donald Trump did something you allowed him to do because you kept a law on the books from the late 1700s. But can any Democrat out there, can any Democrat say, yeah, we actually want the gangbangers in this country? Can any Democrat say this? You know, the New York Times tried. They came the closest this weekend. They did a story about how St. Louis, Missouri, with a decline in population, was being offset by immigrants to the community. But Donald Trump's deportation orders changed that. In other words, St. Louis was trying to resurrect itself on the backs of illegal aliens. Illegal aliens. Do they really want to be on the side of the gangbangers? Apparently, yes. Apparently, the ACLU does, too. They want to be on the side of violent criminals who are now not in this country. I gotta think, if you ask the American public, did you know that Democrats want violent gangbangers from Venezuela to be here illegally? I suspect most people would say, no, we're not happy with that. We're happy with Donald Trump. But the Democrats, they are lined up to be on the side of the bad guy time and time again. This, my friend, seriously, this is an 80-20 issue. And they can't hide behind this federal judge in perpetuity. At some point, the Democrats are going to have to be held accountable and will be made to account. Are you on the side of the TDA violent gang? Or are you on the side of the American people? And if you're on the side of the American people, shouldn't you too be okay with the president deporting these people?